Hi, and welcome everybody to our YouTube sports betting channel. My name is Ross Benjamin. As always, on a Thursday, and it is a Thursday, the last day of September, September 30th, I'm joined by DocSports.com handicapper extraordinaire, Mr. Doug Upstone, and from the great state of Arizona. And Doug, how are you today?
Ross, I am doing quite well, and you'd be pleased to hear that we've actually had a cool streak here. And so it's been like in the mid 80s. We've had a little rain here and there, and it's not bad. Normal temperature is 96, so humidity's still up a little bit. But hey, you know what? We're getting through it somehow, and I know some of those people might find it hard to imagine, but you know what? We'll muddle through.
Hey, God bless you, man. You're living a dream. Here it's 59 degrees, so I'm living with reality in Western New York. Having said that, Doug, we're going to be discussing the NFL today. And folks, stay with us. We're going to give you a couple NFL free pick winners today. But before we get to that, any thoughts on what you've witnessed over the first 3 weeks of the NFL from not only from a fan's perspective, but from a betting perspective as well?
Yeah, the one thing that stands out to me, quite honestly, more than anything else, is the Kansas City Chiefs. And they're 1-2, and haven't really looked good in doing it. It's I guess it's a cliche of sorts, but it ends up being true all the time. And then it's become, I guess, almost so cliche that people don't really want to talk about it. The Super Bowl hangover for the loser.
Yes.
I mean, it doesn't go away. And if there was one team, Ross, let's face it, that you would not think would be affected by it, it would be Kansas City. Okay. But when you watch them play, I mean, their defense, well, good Lord, it's awful. Okay. I mean, they can't stop anybody, and they can't stop anybody doing pretty much anything, either running or passing. So that's a big problem. Now they brought some different guys in, and tried to address it. And I'm not saying it's going to last all season long, but as we know, it hasn't been that good for the previous 2 or 3 years either. Except, when they won the Super Bowl, that defense got hot, kind of like the last 5 games of the regular season, and they created a lot of turnovers, and they were better against the run. But, by and large, it hasn't been that great anyways. But even beyond that, this year, it's awful. And then the other part of this is Patrick Mahomes having, I don't even know. I mean, him playing like a normal quarterback and throwing, like, say, silly passes. I was wondering if he was like channeling Jameis Winston or something, with some of the errant decisions that he's been making. So, I think it's really hard as a favorite of pretty much more than a field goal against better competition, how you take the Chiefs right now.
Yeah. I mean, they're a little over a touchdown favorite this week at Philadelphia. And keep in mind, too, I mean, they're not in a position to look past anybody, but they got a date with Buffalo coming up after the Philadelphia game. That's a rematch of the AFC Championship game, Doug. And my Bills will be playing with revenge, buddy, and they're primed. They'll be primed and ready to go. So I would say I wouldn't be laying 17 with Buffalo this week, nor laying 7 with Kansas City, based on Kansas City, the way they're playing defense, and B, Buffalo could get caught a little bit flat this week. I think they'll win the game handily, but that's a big point spread, 17 in the NFL. And you're right, Kansas City defensively, we talked about this off air. It's not like their defensive numbers were great over the last 2 years. Under Andy Reid, they've been a very opportunistic defense. They create a lot of turnovers. They hold teams to field goals instead of touchdowns. And with that offense, the combination, it pretty much, for lack of a better phrase, covers up their defensive weaknesses. So it'll be interesting to see what happens going forward. And I did an article a couple of years ago on the Super Bowl loser, and especially within the first 4 weeks of the season, they seem to fall into a pattern where they just haven't gotten over but we're reaching the pinnacle the year before and the major disappointment of not winning. So you're right, Doug. I agree with you on all points again. Anyway.
Well, hey, Ross, you mentioned Philadelphia, and I'll just throw this out in case I don't know if this is big news at this point, but Chris Sims, who's on NBC, got his own show, and that's NBC Sports, I should say, own show and stuff, has tweeted out that the owner, Jeffrey Lurie of Philadelphia, has given the go-ahead for them to pursue getting Deshaun Watson from Houston. So that's an interesting development,
Sure.
potentially, if that turns out to be true. So I just thought, some breaking news, if you will, or potential breaking news. But yeah, I just thought that's really an interesting deal. And boy, that pretty much puts the book to bed on Jalen Hurts, if that's the case.
Yeah, I was going to say, there goes his vote of confidence. Look, at Jalen Hurts he's a decent quarterback. Okay. The kid's a winner. I mean, he won at Alabama, like a lot of quarterbacks do. He took a hit when Tua took over the starting job, yet when he was called upon in relief, he did well. He went to Oklahoma, took them to a college football playoff. The kid knows how to win. I'm not so sure that he's just not overmatched right now because they don't have a lot of offensive quality people at the skill positions, I should say. So I think it's unfair there. And I don't know how much of a drastic jump it's going to be with Deshaun Watson, at least initially anyway. You still have to have receivers to throw to, Doug. You still have to have receivers that create space. And Philadelphia has neither, in my opinion. But in any event, we got free picks coming for Sunday. That's what you're waiting for. Like Doug always says, I got things to do. You got things to do. So let's get right at it. Doug, tell them what it's all about.
All right. Well, we're going to go to the not so frozen tundra of Green Bay, Wisconsin. We're going to talk about the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Green Bay Packers, which I believe is the featured afternoon game on CBS this week. Now, Pittsburgh, if you read I should say in Western Pennsylvania, if you look at the websites in Western Pennsylvania this past week, you would get the impression that Ben Roethlisberger is closer to 99 than to 39. Okay, right now in terms of how they are reporting his skills. Now, Big Ben, I mean, let's face it, he is at the end of the road. I mean, that's pretty clear. Okay. However, if they really had a better option, they would use it. Okay. And they would use it, for example, this week, but they don't. Okay. So that's the problem where they're at now. If you look at Pittsburgh, they're averaging 255 yards passing. That's okay. However, the problem is how it's getting accomplished. Is that like how the season ended for the Steelers last year? They are 24th in yards per pass attempt this season. So it's just all this underneath short stuff, and defenses are going to continue to keep crawling up on them, and with no running game at all. Okay, which is by the way, the fault of the offensive line. It was revamped, but it certainly is not cohesive at this point. So there's some problems there. Now, if you're a fan of trends, and I certainly am. I think, Ross, you're more selective maybe than I am about that. But the Steelers coming to this one, it was 7. They were getting +7. Now I'm seeing +6.5. But they're 12-3 as road dogs. Okay, so certainly, the Steelers, you got something there that you can look at. But the Packers last 2 weeks looking better. Okay, I don't think they're the level they were last year or even the year before yet, but they've scored 30 and 35 points the last 2 weeks. Aaron Rodgers is starting to get a little bit of foundation. Their offensive line, which by the way starts 2 rookies, a second-year guy and a third-year guy. So this is a whole new offensive line for them too. But starting to come together. Running game isn't there yet, but they got the weapons on the perimeter. So I'm myself looking at this game. Yeah, I could make a case for Pittsburgh, but with the offense that the Packers have, I don't think, and then the defense, which I don't think is particularly good. I think it's average at best, but I don't see Roethlisberger and the Steelers being able to take advantage of it. And I look at the Packers, they're 9-2. okay, coming off 2 games, I should say 9-2 against the spread, coming off 2 games in which they were over. And the Steelers 5-13 away after scoring 14 points or less, and 2-6 most recently off a straight up loss. Ross, I'm going to back the pack to get the job done at -6 at Lambeau Field this Sunday.
So Doug Upstone's on those Green Bay Packers. I don't want to call him a homer. I know it's his favorite team because I know he would never make a pick with that in mind. In any event, Doug, I'm just teasing you because I know you wouldn't. Green Bay -6 over Pittsburgh for Doug Upstone. Keep in mind, folks, I'm going to get to, Doug mentioned trends and how I'm selective. Well, here's a selective one, okay? The Pittsburgh Steelers on the road, 49-12 to the under in their last 61 away games. Think about that. 49-12 to the under. That's something, you really can't ignore, especially, Doug, when you have the same head coach through that whole time.
Exactly.
Teams take on the personality of your head coach. I'm a thorough believer of that. Do what you will. Anyway, the New York Giants at the New Orleans Saints. All right, the Giants are 0-3. New Orleans is 2-1. This is a very deceiving matchup. Why I say that, New Orleans is coming off an impressive win at New England. The bottom line here is the Saints, they don't do it for me offensively. This is not the Drew Brees quarterback Saints. Jameis Winston under center. Yeah, he got a lot of praise in the season opener. But, this is a New Orleans team. They're only averaging 234 yards of total offense per game. Their defense has been real good. The Giants, as I mentioned, 0-3. However, their last 2 losses by a combined 4 points. So they've been right there. In terms of why New Orleans is 2-1 with such anemic offensive numbers, they're +5 in the turnover department. The Giants, by the way, as much heckling as Daniel Jones has got over the last few years, New York's only turned the ball over twice in the first 3 games. So New Orleans might have to win this one without the benefit of having the advantage in the turnover department. And the lastly thing I want to bring up is the New York Giants against NFC opponents as a road underdog. Since 2019, Doug, 12-1 against the spread. And that includes 7-0 against the spread when Joe Judge has been their head coach. Guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to take the New York Football Giants plus the 7.5 over the New Orleans Saints. Doug Upstone, he likes Green Bay -6 over Pittsburgh. Doug, it's a big week coming up. I know you've been red hot in football, and I want you to tell the folks where they can find you at Doc Sports and how you've been doing and what you got coming up.
Oh, Ross, I am looking forward to this weekend. I got 4 big plays going in the NFL, highlighted by my first 7-unit play of the season. Okay, Doc's just goes to 8, so this is my first 7-unit play of the season. Excited to deliver on that because so far I have been delivering, Ross. 9-1 to start the NFL season. Wow. The only loss was a mistake with the Chicago Bears last week, thinking they would do a little bit better. But you know what? 9-1, I'll take it. That's up a little over $3,000 in terms of profit based on units. So I am excited, ready to go, Ross, to deliver the goods yet again as we head into, as they used to say in classic FM radio, Rocktober, baby. Here we come.
Yes, sir. And we're ready for it. And I'm also doing very well in the NFL, dating back to the preseason, 16-9 with my last 25. That's good for 64%, folks. 3-1 last Sunday at a 10-star top play game of the month winner on the Miami Dolphins, +4, as they only lost by 3 against the Raiders. And you know what, Doug? People say, well, you barely covered. A winner is a winner is a winner. Because the last time I checked, when I covered a game by 21 points and I went to cash the ticket, nobody said to me, hell of a job, Ross. Guess what? The manager just said, give you an extra $200 for covering by that much. I get paid the same whether I cover by 21 or 1. So that's the end of that story. All right, Doug. So game of the week on Sunday for me, a 10-star. You're doing well in the NFL. And folks, don't forget, you can find Doug at docsports.com. You can find me at rbwins.com. That's R as in Ross, B as in Benjamin, wins.com. And it's there. You pay a little to make a lot. Until the next time, for Doug Upstone, I'm Ross Benjamin. Good luck and God bless.